That dropping feeling is an illusion caused by a normal, safe reduction in engine power and a change in the plane's angle after the initial takeoff climb.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Cleared for Takeoff Talk, Fear-Free Flying and Aviation Insights explained by your cabin crew friend. Flying today or anytime soon? Sit with me. I'll explain what's happening every step of the way. I'm Paula, your flight attendant friend, and this is a podcast series created especially for those who sometimes feel uneasy about flying. This is where we tackle real fears, or just want to peek behind the curtain of aviation and access honest insights straight from the crew. Ever felt that terrifying drop right after takeoff? That feeling isn't what you think, and the truth might surprise you. What feels terrifying to passengers is actually routine for pilots and flight attendants. Today I'm joined by two special guests. Aaron, pilot in command with a Middle East 5-star airline, bringing his cockpit perspective, and Miguel, a frequent economy flyer who travels a few times a year from Abu Dhabi to visit his family in South America. Together, we'll break down why that drop feels so scary and why it's actually one of the safest parts of your flight. So grab a coffee, put on your headphones, or if you're listening right now while you're in the air, take a deep breath and relax. You're in safe hands. Let's make this journey smooth, calm, and maybe even a little fun. Welcome aboard!
You know that really specific, slightly unnerving feeling you get on a plane? It's right after takeoff. You're climbing steeply, and then suddenly it feels like the engines have been cut and you're just dropping.
I know that feeling well. It's one of the most common things nervous flyers ask about. And you're right, it feels exactly like a drop. But what's actually happening is a perfect example of a totally normal procedure creating a very convincing illusion.
So, the most direct cause of this dropping sensation is the pilot actively reducing engine power, right? That just sounds so counterintuitive when the plane is supposed to be going up.
Precisely. Think of takeoff as an all-out sprint. The engines are at maximum thrust to get you off the ground and climbing fast. But you can't maintain that sprint forever. So at a certain altitude, usually around 1,000 feet, the pilots pull the power back from takeoff thrust to climb thrust. This is a more sustainable power setting that saves fuel, reduces noise, and is less stressful on the engines. At the same time, the nose of the plane lowers slightly from a steep angle to a shallower one to build up speed. It's that combination, less roaring engine noise and a change in the G-forces you feel, that tricks your brain into thinking you're falling, when in reality you're still climbing, just at a more relaxed angle.
I see. So, the drop is actually a signal that the plane is transitioning into a more efficient and stable phase of its climb. That makes sense. But are there situations where this feeling gets even more intense?
Yes, absolutely. It's especially pronounced at airports with strict noise regulations. A classic example is John Wayne Airport in Orange County, California. Because of the surrounding residential areas, pilots have to perform what's basically a rocket ship takeoff, super steep, and then cut the power dramatically and quickly once they're over a certain point. That abrupt change really amplifies the sensation.
Okay, so a noisy neighborhood can literally make my flight feel scarier. That's ironic.
It is. And here's another counterintuitive part. The feeling is actually stronger in perfectly smooth air. When there's a bit of turbulence, the little bumps and jostles mask that subtle change in pitch and thrust. But when the air is glassy, your body is hyper-aware of that one distinct sensation of the nose leveling off and the engines quieting down, making the illusion of dropping feel much more real.
So, given that this is a normal feeling, how do we know when we should actually be concerned? Is there a line between this illusion and a real problem?
That's the critical question. In most cases, this sensation is completely normal and lasts for maybe 20 seconds at most. The real red flags to watch for are very different. You should only worry if the plane enters a sudden, sharp, and sustained descent that doesn't correct itself back into a climb. Or if you hear genuinely unusual noises, like loud bangs, grinding sounds, or alarms from the cockpit. Other obvious signs would be the flight crew looking genuinely panicked, the oxygen masks deploying, or an announcement from the pilot about returning to the airport. Without those things, that sinking feeling is almost certainly just business as usual.
That's incredibly reassuring to know the difference. So, For those of us who still get a little white knuckle during that phase, are there any practical tips to help lessen the discomfort?
There are a few good tricks. First, where you sit matters. Try to get a seat over the wings. The aircraft pivots around its center of gravity, which is near the wings, so you'll feel far less of the pitching motion there compared to sitting in the very back. The sensation is always most pronounced in the rear of the plane.
Okay, note to self. Book a seat over the wings. What else?
The biggest thing is mental. Just understanding that this is a planned, safe part of every single flight helps a lot. It's like turbulence. Pilots see it as so routine, they barely even register it. If you can frame it in your mind as a normal event, like the fasten seatbelt sign turning off, it loses its power. And of course, the old standbys work wonders. Put on a movie, listen to music, talk to the person next to you. Any distraction that takes your mind off the physical sensation will help you glide right through it.
Great advice. So, to wrap this all up, it seems the key is understanding the illusion.
Exactly. To sum it up, that dropping feeling is an illusion caused by a normal, safe reduction in engine power and a change in the plane's angle after the initial takeoff climb. It's not a sign of trouble, but a sign of efficiency. This feeling can be stronger at noise-sensitive airports or in very smooth air. You should only worry if you see actual signs of an emergency, like a sustained drop or unusual alarms. And to make it easier on yourself, sit near the wings, understand the process, and find a good distraction.
Thanks so much for joining me on Cleared for Takeoff podcast. I hope today's conversation helped make the skies feel a little calmer and clearer for you. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow or subscribe so you'll be with us on future journeys. And if you're listening while you're actually on a flight, take a deep breath, sit back, and remember you're in safe hands. Until next time, here's to smooth skies and calm flights.